Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to invite our esteemed guest, Ms. Sima Kamil, Deputy Governor, State Bank of Pakistan. Ms. Kamil has over 35 years of experience in diverse fields of commercial banking, including branch banking and investment banking. She has worked in various international banks, including American Express Bank, ANZ Greenleaf Bank, and Standard Chartered Bank. She was the first ever woman appointed president of a private sector commercial bank, UBL. Earlier, she served HBL for 16 years at various senior management levels. With that, Ms. Sima Kamil, I would like to have you please on the stage. Thank you.
Honorable Federal Minister Dr. Miftah Ismail, Dr. Ishrat Hussain, Khalid Mirza Sahib, President CFA Pakistan, Mr. Abdul Rahman Waraich, and distinguished guests, Assalamu alaikum, and it's still good morning. First of all, I'd just like to apologize. It's not me that should be speaking to you today. The invitation was very happily accepted by the Governor, State Bank of Pakistan, Mr. Jameel Ahmed. Unfortunately, he's not able to be here. He tried very hard. He called me late last evening and said, I'm going to try and make the 10 o'clock flight. But he was still not able to for his commitments. So I'm here on his behalf, and I will read what he had planned to say to you. So, beginning, I'm pleased to be part of the 20th anniversary celebrations of the CFA Society and congratulate all its members, and in particular, Mr. Waraich, the current president, and Mr. Muhammad Shoaib, the founding president. We'd like to acknowledge the important role that the CFA Association has played in raising professional and ethical standards, and I think many of the past speakers have mentioned that. And the members for paying, and it's also great to see that the charter membership of the chapter is growing rapidly. The society has demonstrated its leadership in thoughts, in fintech, in ESG, and in Islamic banking. And also, I think, maybe not known to many of you, the MPS survey conducted by the society gauging the interest rate outlook of qualified investment in professional people. The CFA Society's efforts in championing ethical practices are also very commendable. The theme of today's event is appropriate and timely, something that we talk about a lot, which is the development of Pakistan's capital markets in the past, and it also allows us to share a vision for the future. I think for all of you, you all appreciate the significance of capital markets, so I will not dwell on that too much, but I will speak about the context of Pakistan in this field, and frankly, how much we need to do, and what the State Bank is trying to do to build an enabling environment. In Pakistan, although we take pride in a stable and thriving financial and banking system, there's areas of great gaps which need attention. Our market cap to GDP ratio is just above 10%. And our corporate debt market size to GDP ratio is less than 1%. These numbers are lower than our regional peers, let alone international benchmarks. Local and foreign investment remains low, despite what we always talk about, attractive valuations relative to peer countries, low price to equity, price to book value ratios, and attractive dividend yields. Local equity market participation is only 0.11% of the adult population. And if we compare it to our regional peers like India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, the average there is 3 to 4%. But somehow we have not been able to get there. And it is for all of us here to consider why and what we can do. Our bond market is dominated by government borrowing, as we all know, where a fully functioning market exists for government security and serves as the pricing backbone for financial assets. But the corporate debt market remains nascent. To share some statistics, there are only 37 investment-grade corporate debt securities active in our debt market. In addition, in the last calendar year, the average monthly trading volume in corporate debt markets stood at $1 billion a month, $1 billion rupees a month, compared to over 3 trillion in the government securities market. I think the reasons for all of that are well known. But it is still important to remember that unless we have an active and well-functioning corporate bond market, we will not actually get there. Apart from providing borrowers an alternative to bank finance, bank bonds or corporate bonds can lower the cost of long-term funding. Banks are typically constrained with lending long-term because their liabilities are short-term. An efficient corporate bond market can better match institutional investors with long-term assets and help them in this duration match issue. From a macro financial stability perspective, a well-developed corporate bond market spreads risks away from the banking system. A market-based source of finance, such as the corporate bond markets, dissipates risk across a wider category of investors, thereby contributing to financial stability, which you know is one of the primary aims of the central bank. In addition, with an increasing focus of investors on social and green finance, a well-developed corporate bond market will help borrowers in this respect to raise capital at a competitive cost to improve their carbon and social footprint. In addition, we have Islamic banking, which is growing at a tremendous pace, but remains a vast untapped potential for the corporate Sukuk market. Another major issue we face is outreach. Although our banks have made good strides in improving access to financial services, and I agree that there's a long way to go, but we've built in initiatives like the Asan account, the Russian digital account, mobile banking, digital onboarding. However, the capital markets still see a significant gap in outreach. Our population, as you know, is very young. 77% of smartphone users are aged between 21 and 30. Somehow they don't see access to a formal capital market as something attractive. We have to ask ourselves why. Why do they find much greater interest in crypto assets? Easier access to the stock and bond markets, which is something that is a challenge for all of us, coupled with a very effective strategic communication strategy, which I think what Khalid Mirza Saab was talking about, to speak in their language, is not there. So having set this stage about the thin investor base, which is a chronic issue, I would like to speak a little bit now about the steps that State Bank is taking to develop an enabling ecosystem. For example, these measures, which, for example, the government market is a well-functioning benchmark government yield curve, encouraging government security ownership through the IPS accounts and the timely release of information, and facilitating foreign investments through Russian Digital Initiative. We have broadened the access to the IPS account. Previously, it was only available to commercial banks. Now the microfinance bank account holders can also access this, and this is the large market. The recent issuance of the Customer Digital Onboarding Framework by the State Bank will further simplify and facilitate IPS account opening by removing unnecessary frictions. Bank account holders can open investment accounts at the PXX based on their existing bank KYC. That removes a very significant friction. We are also working on a debt market web portal. This portal is expected to improve investor access to the debt markets and provide relevant information, and access to the PD system and the development of domestic market infrastructure. As we all know, the international trading and information platforms, such as Bloomberg and Reuters, are very expensive, and this would be far more cost-effective. We have also laid out an enabling environment for the government debt securities by revising the rules governing primary dealers. In 2021, the revised PD framework allowed a much wider set of institutions to work as primary dealers, including the security depositories, clearing institutions, and brokerage houses. As a result, of CDC and CCPL have successfully become what we call special purpose primary dealers during the financial year 22 and 23. The updated rules will cater to the needs of a diverse group of investors and will attract a new clientele. The other aspect that we have done is the debt securities warehousing by brokers also has the potential to enhance investor interest. Currently, there is no product available that allows the investor to park their funds temporarily in the government security market. All these measures are part of our broader vision, where a complete ecosystem is developed to allow efficient mobilization of capital from savers towards the public. Going forward, I'd like to talk a little bit about that. We recognize that the inroads that branchless banking and mobile banking have gained in Pakistan and their potential in enhancing financial inclusion is a gateway for those excluded persons to look at more sophisticated financial services. Perhaps it seems like a dream to you at the moment, but it is entirely possible. Efforts on this segment to improve market access will improve the investor base, but for some reason we have not really got there. In closing, I'd like to reiterate that while commendable efforts have been made and the CFA society has come to the forefront, a lot of work remains to be done. And of course, as we've all said, it needs a multi-stakeholder approach from the regulator and the market participants. But I would like to say that while the regulator is always there to create an enabling environment and to listen to you and make changes, it really is up to the market participants to actually make the difference. And I think today we should think about why that is not happening. For example, we don't consider consumer needs. I mean, being a banker myself, I know that that is always an issue even with banks. And we do not think about the consumer, their needs, their demands, even their religious preferences. The State Bank is committed to facilitating this development. And again, we will say that we are always available to do whatever is required. Let me again congratulate CFA on this event and on its 20th anniversary. I've seen how it has progressed, and I wish you the very best for the next 20 years and beyond. Thank you.